This happened about 9 years ago when I was 18. I drive past where this happened about once a week and still get creeped out just thinking about what could have happened. I drove by today and finally decided to post. I had just gotten off a bus at a stop in a not so great area to be in at night. I was waiting for the next bus that would take me back to my dorm, and it was almost completely dark out. The stop was poorly lit and I thought I was the only person around. There was a large apartment complex behind me, but I didn't see anyone outside. I wasn't really paying attention to anything except watching for the lights of the next bus. All of a sudden, this very large man comes up behind me and asks how I was doing. Right away, I felt nervous. I'm all alone, much smaller than him, and the bus wasn't anywhere in sight. I gave him a short reply and hoped he would go away. He did not. In fact, he started talking more, asking me where I was going, where I was coming from, why I was here all by myself, etc. I gave vague answers, but he could easily guess that I was heading towards the college nearby, and I was clearly alone. As he's asking questions, I notice the door to the apartment building open, and another man comes out and walks towards us. He asks the first dude if he told me about the vacancy, then gives this creepy smile. I'm freaking the fuck out at this point, and trying to figure out where I could go, but at this time, and on this side of town, there's literally nowhere to go. The first guy starts talking about how expensive it is to live by the campus, and wouldn't you know, there's an opening in the building right behind where we were. I told him I was fine where I was at and was not looking to move. They both started insisting I see how nice this place is. The second guy mentions that they are the building managers, which meant that they could show me the vacant apartment right now. I somehow have the courage to flat out tell them no, I'm not going anywhere. They start trying to convince me to go with them and get even closer to me. And then I see those unmistakable lights heading my way. I don't think I've ever been happier to see a bus in my life. They were still trying to talk to me as it pulled up, and I practically jumped into the opening doors. They stood there watching as the bus pulled away. That could have gone so wrong so quickly, but for once, the bus was actually on time. The whole ordeal lasted less than 10 minutes, but it was the most terrifying 10 minutes of my life. So, creepy men at the bus stop, let's not meet. First time poster, long time lurker, and all that. Honestly, my story isn't anywhere near as terrifying as the others on here, but I was just reminded of this incident today, so I thought I'd tell it. This happened several years ago when I was at university. I had a good group of male friends that I used to go on nights out with. They were all like my older brothers, and they were very protective of me, even more so because my boyfriend at the time was a part of that group. I guess that made me feel a little too safe, as I had a tendency to just wander away from the group when I got drunk. I wouldn't go far, but I'd just dance around and drift away. My boyfriend usually would steer me back, as he knew what I was like. Anyway, that weekend my boyfriend had gone home to visit his family, so it was just me and a few guys out that night. I was wearing this high-waisted skirt that zipped in the back. We were on the dance floor, and as usual, the boys were mucking about. I think they were talking about something I had no interest in, so I drifted off to dance by myself. Abruptly, out of nowhere, I felt hands on me. Now, this isn't anything new. Unfortunately, being female, getting groped on a night out is fairly normal. I feel like being quite petite as well makes me look like an easy target because I don't look like I'd fight back. I squirmed out of the person's grip and continued to dance, deciding it's best to just ignore them. But then the next thing I know, this dude has completely unzipped my skirt from top to bottom, and when I turned around, obviously furious, he tried to grab me. I was so angry that I just started screaming at him and then tried to punch him. He dodged me, and that's when my guy friends found me, and his friends found him. His friends immediately grabbed him and started to apologize on his behalf, while my friends were trying to calm me down. I was so angry though that I didn't want to let it go. The guy just unzipped my skirt and tried to assault me. How am I supposed to be calm about this? Honestly, I think I really would have tackled that guy if my boyfriend's best friend hadn't come up at that moment and realized what had happened, because instead of focusing on my anger, I now had to spend the next few minutes trying to calm my boyfriend's best friend down so he didn't try to start a fight, which he was more than willing to do. I'd never seen him look so murderous before that moment. At that point, a bouncer had arrived to see what was happening. I didn't want my friend to get into trouble, so I just pulled them all away and decided to forget about it. I really wish I had reported that guy, but I was young, drunk, and just wanted to go home. Anyway, creepy dickhead, let's never meet again. As part of my degree, I was doing a placement year in another city a little over a year ago. This was a city where I didn't know anyone, so I moved into private student halls. The halls were arranged into flats of 5, so there were 5 en-suite bedrooms and then a shared kitchen. The keys were electronic, and so your key would open the door to the building, the door to your flat, and the door to your bedroom. 3 of my 4 flatmates were international students, 2 girls and a guy, none of which spoke particularly good English, and they all kept to themselves a lot. They were perfectly friendly whenever I ran into them, but it was rare that I saw them, and we didn't chat much beyond generic small talk. The 4th flatmate was a really outgoing guy. I saw him a bit more often, and he was chattier, but given that none of the others really socialized, he made friends with people from other flats, so he wasn't about much either. So this meant I was living in a flat with 4 strangers, and because they were all students and I was working an 8 to 6 job, we didn't see much of each other, and we never really talked. It wasn't an ideal arrangement, but it worked fine. I had friends at work I sometimes went out with, and some good Tinder fortune meant I had a boyfriend that would come over pretty often, so I was pretty settled. I pretty quickly got into a nice routine in days where I had no evening plans. Come home, shower, make food in the kitchen, and then retire to my bedroom for the evening. You always hear stories of dodgy flatmates that steal in or mess with people's rooms when they're out, and so even though my flatmates seemed pretty nice and harmless, I'd always lock my bedroom door whenever I went out. But I always figured that there was no point in locking my room if I was in there. But one night, I'd gone through my usual routine and then gone to bed reasonably early. At around 5 a.m., I'm woken up by the sound of my bedroom door opening. It takes me a second to wake up and realize what's happening, and then I sit bolt upright. Now, this is 5 a.m. in winter, and so my room is pitch black, but the corridor light is on, so all I can see is the silhouette of a man standing halfway between the door and my bed. With hindsight, screaming should probably be the automatic reaction here, but I was so in shock that all I could do was repeat the questions, Who are you? Why are you here? Over and over. This probably only lasted for about 30 seconds, but when you're frozen with fear in the middle of the night, 30 seconds becomes so much longer. The guy didn't move or say anything, just stood there looking at me before finally turning and calmly walking back out of my room. When I was finally able to move, I turned all the lights on, locked the door, and called security. They didn't answer. I left a message and never heard anything back. To this day, I have no idea who the man was or why he was there. If it was one of my flatmates, it could only have been the outgoing guy, because he was only one tall enough to be the man in my room. The thing that still really spooks me is that if it was a simple mistake and someone got the wrong room, which I have had happen in other places I've stayed, then surely he'd just apologize and leave as soon as they'd open the door. And if he'd been there to rob me, then again, surely he'd have panicked when disturbed and ran. But the fact that he just stood there and looked at me still sends chills down my spine. Alright, a bit of backstory before getting this stuff going. At the time, I was 18. I'm female, and it was the first few weeks in college. I'd moved hours away from my hometown in order to get some space for my family and actually do something I wanted to do. I'm not sure if this is the same for every college, but the first few weeks people seem to be scrambling for friends and are super outgoing. I was like that as well. In my major, I'd made a few friends, especially this girl named Kelsey. She was pretty, tall, and we were very similar in what we liked as far as hobbies and interests. So when she invited me to a house party that her male friend was throwing a few weeks into the semester, I immediately said yes. I've been drinking since I was 15, knew all the good drinking games, and in general am a very fun drunk to be around, or so I'm told. So I'm super excited. Now this is summertime in the Midwest, so we're talking 90 plus degrees, not including the humidity. I showed up at this house party in shorts and a tank top. I hadn't really done anything special with my makeup or hair, because honestly, in the weather, why bother? It would have legit just melted off my face. Why I'm telling you this much detail is important, I promise. So right away, I'm not super into the scene. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-story house kind of on the ghetto of the large town we're in. The music's so loud the old windows are rattling, and the house practically bursting with people. I was about to nope the fuck out when Kelsey appeared and grabbed my wrist. She was super excited to see me and pulled me inside, claiming we had next at beer pong. Inside the house was literally like an oven. No windows open, the air was obviously off, just the front and back door wide open to let the non-existent breeze through. I decided whatever, I was going to have some fun here, and then leave kind of early to get home in time to shower before I passed out. Everyone was sweating, dancing to the music, and drinking lukewarm beer. It was pretty horrible if we're going to be honest. But as a college kid, I could deal. Beer was free for girls, so I drank for nothing that night. It started getting kind of creepy a few hours into the party, I'd guess about midnight. There had been a tall, thin guy that had been hovering, and I thought he was Kelsey's friend because she grew up in the same town as the college. He had dark hair cut short, dark eyes, a nervous smile, and a ratty white shirt with dark basketball shorts. He pretty much blended in with half the guys there. After dominating in beer pong for a solid hour, we were defeated, so I excused myself to go outside and cool off for a bit. Kelsey said she would join me after she went to the bathroom real quick. Outside was still horridly hot, but better than inside surrounded by BO and warm bodies. I recognized a few people from earlier beer pong games and the campus, but no one I really cared to talk to. I turned around to watch for Kelsey when I almost ran into the guy. He was way taller up close, I'd guess around 6'4", and he smelled like weed, beer, and body odor. I stepped back and looked up to chew him out. The awkward smile was affixed as his eyes were glued to my chest. "Excuse me, can I help you?" I snipped at him with a hand on my hip. "Did you get all pretty for me?" he asked, his voice deeper than I thought it would be. As stated above, no makeup, hair half up to keep my neck cool, and just wearing casual clothes. I didn't look hot, pretty, any of that. I was there to drink and hang out with a female friend. What? Was that a bad pickup line? "I've been watching you all night." "Yeah," I said and went to take another step back. I noticed. "Are you looking for Kelsey?" He looked confused. "Who? Kelsey? No, I don't know a Kelsey." Alright, red flags going up. "So you were legit watching me all night?" He nodded, the creepy grin coming back. "Dude, what the fuck?" He seemed surprised that I was upset. "Seriously, dude, you smell and you are hella creepy. Walk away." I went to move away and he grabbed my wrist tightly. It hurt to the point that I winced and he practically snarled at me. "Hey dude, what's up?" A random guy from the party had taken a few steps off the porch and was checking in. "Just my girlfriend being mouthy," the string bean of an assaulter yelled back. He began to drag me down the road, literally dragging me so hard that my flip-flops came off and my bare heels were dragging on the asphalt. He was muttering to me that he was going to punish me, hurt me, fuck me so hard I will behave. I was livid. I grew up fighting with all 6 of my brothers and dealing with an abusive father. No way this human was going to scare me. I squirmed like an alligator on a line, spinning and screaming. He grabbed my hair, but that just made me more angry, and I bit him. Hard. I tasted blood and started punching at anything I could reach. His hand loosened on my hair, and I wrenched my head back, spitting his own blood in his face as he stumbled back. He went to go hit me. I think maybe he did at one point. With the anger and adrenaline coursing through me, it was like a light tap on my shoulder. I didn't feel anything, didn't care. I was going to take him down. Out of nowhere, Kelsey seemed to appear with the guy who had called out to check on us. Kelsey grabbed my middle as I was flailing to claw at his face, and the guy went to stand on the other guy's middle so he wouldn't get up. The next few minutes were a blur. I remember my heart pounding so hard in my chest that it echoed in my ears. I was ushered back to the porch where someone got me water to clean out my mouth and a few paper towels. Apparently I had a cut on my cheek and his blood was on my chin. The guy who had came in to help ended up letting the guy go. He got away. No one called the cops and I didn't either because I'd been underage drinking. All of it was a stupid combination of dumb teenagers, booze, and adrenaline. Needless to say, I did not hang out with Kelsey again because she turned out to be the worst kind of person. She told me it was my fault for walking out with him, and I had probably done something to lead him on. I found out later the kid who tried to take me was named Jordan, and he did attend the same college, but he had dropped out after a few months due to not attending. Funny twist, but a few years ago, when I was 22, I was looking around on Facebook and one of the suggested friends was Kelsey. She was shockingly in a relationship with Jordan, and they were having their second kid. Few people have told me over the years she had gotten into some hard drugs and got together with a total loser, so that's fun. She's contacted me a few times trying to explain why Jordan acted that way and trying to defend her baby daddy to me. No thanks. So in short, creepy Jordan who tried to do whatever he wanted to me, and shitty friend of the year, Kelsey, let's not meet again. For your sake.